Welcome to a special edition of Builders Live, a podcast about building better ecosystems, done awkwardly, live or not live, at the Global Entrepreneurship Congress. We'll get to that in a second. I'm Chris Wink. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Technically. We're a news organization with a community of technologists and entrepreneurs. This event is gathering ecosystem builders from around the world. I think it's 130 plus countries represented today here in Indianapolis, the first time it's in the United States since 2009, but also entrepreneurs and leaders across of many stripes. And I'm joined by two of them to look at what we know about ecosystem building here in the United States. First, friends, can you do who are ya and how do you know each other? Adorable. What's the meet cute of you two? Can we do a ecosystem meet cute? How do you guys work together? And we'll dive into from there.
I love it.
You want me to start?
Yeah, take it away.
I'm Sherrod Davis. I'm one of the co-founders and the CEO.
Let's get this real close. I just love that baritone. We want to look at that bass. Get that bass up. Can you get the bass up? I got it. Yeah.
Co-founder and CEO at EcoMap Technologies. Have been working with Taylor for the past 6-ish months on helping to enable some of her economic development and ecosystem building strategies across the state of Kansas. And we only met recently because she's been working with our incredible team at EcoMap, but really just been inspired by her passion, her vision for what Kansas could be. So,
All right, Taylor, give it to me.
Yeah,
So what are you doing in Kansas?
the real story.
Yeah, give me the real.
We gotta give the real.
Oh, all
real
right.
story.
Okay, I like this.
No, so in the state of Kansas, we created an Office of Entrepreneurship for the very first time, and so we were looking at what are the best practices across the nation that we could replicate. A lot of the challenges that we were looking at as an ecosystem, they're not unique to us, but we're trying to solve them in a silo. So I was introduced to Morgan here at the state of Indiana, and we hopped on the phone, and she said the first thing you need to do is you need EcoMap. And so I reached out to the team, was able to get a call, and a few weeks later, they were in our state for an event and really just showing up to help us mobilize our ecosystem, but not just with their tool alone, also with best practices that are leveraged and used in other markets. So I quickly became a fangirl of the team and of EcoMap because of all of the things that they were able to do. So that's how we were brought together.
I like Sherrod too much to bully him about so much, but I want to do a Kansas City specific case study, and then I'll come to you and
Cool.
use your thought leadership some and widen it. At Global Entrepreneurship Congress, this is originspost.com, but I think the real story is after the Great Recession, we saw around the United States, local communities were returning to what our economy could look like. And there was these kernels of entrepreneurship obsession. I think the Kauffman Foundation deserves tons of credit for funding a lot of those early roads. Shout out to Kansas's own. But there's been a flourishing, this conference representing that around the world, but much work happening too. I guess I'm curious from the economic developer's seat, why entrepreneurship? Why is it part of Kansas's overall state strategy? Why can you justify your work to those who might not know it as well?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'm going to have to correct you. You said Kansas City case study. This is a Kansas thing. It's a Kansas thing.
Fair.
Which Kansas City, we have half. But no.
Damn.
In all
I got my geography wrong. Why?
correct, yeah. We'll correct you. We'll correct you. But no, if we're looking at entrepreneurship, we're looking at small business and really justifying our roles. There's all of these data points that people pull out for you, right? Net new job creation, growth of community, health of a community. But for me, both my parents were entrepreneurs. And so grew up watching my mom run a construction company, payment terms being extended. Maybe that meant no back to school clothes this year. So just the realities of entrepreneurship are how we justify it. How many families are impacted by small businesses, not just those that create their own, but those that are employed by them, which in our state is roughly 50% of our population. So that's really how we justify it, by putting that human element and that reality of what not investing in entrepreneurship can do to a community. And those realities hit home for many.
Sure. So something you and I, we have very nerdy conversations from
Yeah.
time to time. They'll be shocked to know that. But I understand how we got a later stage business economic development strategy of the 20th century. There's this idea that like, why futz with the entrepreneurs when who knows how they'll perform? Why don't we just cut to the chase and go up to later stage and either do corporate relocations or manufacturing plant relocations, or like wait till someone's proved it out and then we'll pay attention to them. And credit to like programs like the SBA, and there were of course investments in small business, but this kind of like netherworld of new business kind of existed somewhere else. And then the internet changed a lot of that. It created a new kind of very asset light business, and new language started evolving. The ecosystem metaphor comes in, the word founder, startup, entrepreneur. We were tussling around how to use those words. And that's kind of why we got this new generation of events and writing and stuff happening by the 90s and the early 2000s, and then like blossomed in the 2010s with cheap money. And so like EcoMap is part of a constellation of what I've learned are called national ecosystem resource providers, which apparently technically is, I did not know that was a thing. Thank you, Andy Stoll, or NRPs. All this stuff starts popping because, oh, we know the same kinds of problems are going to show up in lots of places, even if there's local distinctions, the same kind of problems are going to show up. So let's talk to me a little bit now that you've, spent years now looking at how different ecosystems are different.
Yeah.
What are you seeing that is the same? Like what are those kind of consistent problems that you see either at the state level? We see it sometimes happening at county level, city, region. People are doing it differently.
Yeah.
But what are some things like, yep, everyone kind of bumps into this and it's not strange, it's very normal?
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting question, Chris. I sat in yesterday on a research panel here at GEC with a bunch of brilliant experts, researchers who are
Like
like
right among them.
digging into the data. And one of the things that bubbled up during that conversation is I think we haven't yet as a community agreed on why entrepreneurship is important. I think we agree that it is important, but I think some people think it's important because it's important to innovate in order to solve problems. I think that some people think it's important because it is the driver of job creation. I think other people think it's important because they want to empower and enable people to have autonomy over wealth creation, their career, et cetera, et cetera. And those three things can exist together, but I think it just calls out sort of what does success look like? Are we innovating? Are we creating new jobs? Do people have autonomy? Like, the differences and nuances there, I think, are important. And so those are different in every single ecosystem. Like, how does this align to the governor's priorities, to the mayor's priorities, whatever it might be? But I think what we found is that the inputs, the requirements that allow and enable entrepreneurship to flourish are largely the same. So our accessibility, which is connectivity, which is having the access to data and information so you can start to evaluate the progress that you're making. And that's what we try to bring to bear sort of foundationally. Let's start here, and then we can enable whatever the objective or the priority might be. And that's going to change over time as the world changes too.
Let me kind of pause for a sec on the differences, then we can get to the similarities. And this might be something to tell you something to offer. So I spent 16 years now reporting, and I've gone back and forth around both wanting this very big tent for entrepreneurship, which I think is very beautiful. But when anything is everything, it is also nothing. And so you have to create some kind of boundaries and frameworks. You have to make choices. And every economic development officer in the world has to say, of course, we're for anyone creating business, of course. But we're going to pick some bets. And that can mean lots of different things. It can be like, oh, we prioritize retail corridors. We can prioritize certain people, immigrant businesses. It can be about, we want commercialized science. We want high growth. There's a lot of different bets. You can do clustering, which was, entire academic discipline. So I guess, Taylor, maybe just like help me, because, how does an economic developer sit with the data around job growth is really about new business. On the whole, once you get over a certain age, you're probably not going to suddenly spontaneously create a lot more jobs. Sometimes they do, but those are exceptions. So if you're talking about job growth, it's about new. If you're talking about like wealth creation for underrepresented communities, that's a different kind of thing. Store of wealth is different. So my point is there's a lot of different goals that would be subtly different priorities. So I guess how do you as an individual or, how do economic developers more generally situate themselves in all those different goals?
Yeah, I think that consistency and identification of what that thing is going to be and then really sitting with that long term. So for me, goes back to my childhood again. Are we drawing from this?
Yes. No, I've spoken to your therapist. I have a series of other questions I will be pulling off. Yeah. Yeah.
Therapy session was me. I'm sorry.
Yes.
But the entrepreneurial mindset when I was in high school is the first time that was formally introduced to me. I grew up in a house with entrepreneurial parents and, small business, but the ability to look at a problem and solve it creatively, leveraging my entrepreneurial mindset is truly my superpower as a professional. I am very open with the fact that I'm a neurodivergent professional. And so my brain doesn't quite operate the way neurotypicals do. I don't view things in the same way. However, that entrepreneurial mindset is where I thrive. So you're really able to engage so many types of people and offer a solution, offer a career, offer a pathway to economic growth, wealth creation that can be accessed by varying abilities. So anchoring in something like that, which sounds very fluffy, but anchoring that entrepreneurial mindset is how you can mobilize things like things that normally move slower. How you can act entrepreneurial within state government, how you can your city commission. That entrepreneurial mindset is it's iconic. It is yeah. A Chanel bag.
It's a Chanel bag. Headline. Note. I only have a couple more minutes with you guys. Like here at GEC and so much of the work that we all do is like getting clustered into this word ecosystem building. And I feel like too much of a nerdy student of words to know who knows if that phrase will last and be timeless or it's just a vehicle for us to get somewhere. But I think it's a really effective metaphor. So like future me, don't make fun of present me. Ecosystem building is a really effective metaphor to reinforce there's a lot of different size species. They look different. They operate different. They can be independent. They can be overlapping. They cannot like each other. One can eat another. It cannot always be good. And you actually know one entity controls it. And that kind of is what the ecosystem metaphor teaches.
And the health of an ecosystem can be very vastly different. So like you can see a healthy ecosystem.
Say more. What if I were to plop you into, I haven't told you where you're going to go. What are some ways that you would seek it out? The health index.
From CDFI friendly.
Mm.
Looking at those CDFI deserts and seeing the availability of capital within those spaces that lack CDFI infrastructure. That's a huge indicator for me. But yeah, within an ecosystem, you have your indicator animals, right? Those are your small businesses. When the small businesses aren't doing well, that's a good indicator that you need better, what I call infrastructure within your ecosystem. You can't just say, I'm an ecosystem builder and your job is there, it's stamped. You have to understand the roads, the bridges, the things that are required to navigate the ecosystem.
Okay, let's do parting shots as I leave you guys. The thunderous applause to our opener, Mark Cuban, for us being the headliner here at GEC. Sherrod Taylor, like something that you're walking away from Global Entrepreneurship Congress with, or just something that's kind of ruminating in your mind that feels fresh or new? What can you give the rest of us in ecosystem building land that you're thinking about?
Yeah, I can go first, Taylor. We were on a panel this morning with Morgan Allen and Chad Renato. Chad is from Australia. He's a researcher. And we were talking about...
Morgan Allen from Indiana Economic Development.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Chris. And we were talking about like why map an ecosystem, why invest in ecosystem technology. And he said something that really stuck with me. And he said, it's about speed. Can this entrepreneur get to what they need more quickly? Instead of 20 conversations, can we get that down to 2? And can we make those conversations, can we transition those conversations from being transactional in nature to being transformative in nature? And I think one way to do that is by ensuring that everyone is reading from the same sheet of music. And I think that that's really important both for the ecosystem builder side and the entrepreneur side. And so, like, as I'm thinking about how we go into new ecosystems, I really think it's about enabling ecosystem builders like Taylor and others to be able to have some more of those transformative conversations.
I love that.
With their entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I like that. There's gobs of research knowing that entrepreneurship matters for all the many ways we realized. How do you make it better? Taylor, you kind of a parting thought either out of the Congress or just generally that you've been thinking about in this space?
Yeah, I think that the thing I'm taking away is being able to meet others in my role that are doing similar work. Like I said earlier, these problems, these challenges aren't unique to us. So how can we solve them as a collective? How can we take those templates, the best practices, and the next Taylor that is brought into the space can go further than I will ever dream, but won't have to duplicate or be repetitive in what I've done. There's flaws in my work. There's mistakes I've made. However, you've got the template, you've have the concept, and small businesses are what's on the line. So how do we take the global view of success, the global standards, and mobilize them for the small businesses?
Cheers to that. Small, medium, big, and new business, the economic development strategy that involves many stakeholders. Taylor, Sherrod, thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
So much. This is awesome.
Special edition of Builders Live, live at the Global Entrepreneurship Congress, coming to you. We'll see you next time. Bye, friends.